Hello everyone, Aga here, and this is a very different video to what I would usually record. I'll be talking about something else, but I'm just really into MMA and I'm just really into UFC. And UFC 319 is going to be one of the biggest pay-per-views of the year. UFC 319, Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev for the middleweight belt. And just the general fight card is actually quite nice, and I just have ball knowledge when it comes to MMA, so I just want to show it by giving my predictions and stuff before the fight, just to see how I do with my predictions. Now, starting all the way from the early prelim opener of Ali B. Idris versus Joseph Morales. I don't know much about both of these people. I know one of them is a tough winner. I'm just going with Idris because he's a big heavy favorite. I don't really know much about these fighters. I'm just going with Idris. Now, next up, we got Karine Silva versus Dion Barbosa. Now, I don't think it was going to be Dion Barbosa originally fighting. I think there was someone else that pulled out. But Karine Silva has camped and has fully trained for this fight. What I'm thinking is a Karine Silva, but it's in WMA style. So definitely a 29-28 decision, majority decision this time. And yeah, I don't like Dion Barbosa's odds a lot. I like Edson Barbosa's odds, however, as a little segue. Edson Barbosa versus Jakar Close. Now, Jakar Close is a really pressure and volume heavy guy, so that might overwhelm Barbosa into a 29-28. But man, Edson Barbosa got a dog on him. Edson Barbosa is gonna flatten out Jakar Close round 2 KO. That's just what I hope. That's just what I pray for, but anyways, next up on the fight, we go to our next lightweight bout. It is Alexander Not the Great Hernandez versus Chase Hooper. I got Chase Hooper. I don't know if it's between a decision or a sub though, because I'm thinking that Jim Miller fight where he kind of wet blanketed, but controlled, he was not panicking. I think that kind of fight, if he pulls it against Alexander Hernandez, I think it's a very easy round 3 sub. I can definitely see Hernandez being gassed, and I can see him definitely being really twitchy, really pressure heavy early rounds. Because again, this is a 3-round event, so this is 3 rounds. You can easily get away with emptying the tank on this fight. But I think Chase Hooper got that dog on him, especially if he stopped gooning. But next up, we got Jessica Andrade versus Lupi Godinez. Now, women's strawweight has a lot of good candidates, a lot of good people. Between these two, however, I am going with Jessica Andrade, mainly because of the fact that Jessica Andrade is a bit washed, but Jessica Andrade is still Jessica Andrade. Her last loss, I believe, came to Jasmine Jesuda Vicious, which makes me more proud as a Canadian resident. But yeah, so I got Jessica Andrade just gonna get crafty vetted like what Fiziev did to Ignacio Bahamondes. Just wet blanket, 30-27, I'm calling dominant victory by Jessica Andrade, just in the classic WMMA fashion. But Jessica Andrade is washed, so Lupi Godinez might be able to get something. But I feel like if Lupi Godinez doesn't get a sparks out, knockout, or a sub, it's going to be a Jessica Andrade win. Because Jessica Andrade's last fight was a sub loss against Jasmine Jesuda Vicious. That's why. But I just don't see Lupi get that dog in her, so that's why I'm going with Jessica Andrade. Jessica Andrade at underdog, really good value for money if you want to bet WMA. Next up, we got GM3 versus Mikhail Oleksiejczuk. Now, I like GM3, not because of his skill, but because of his dog in him. Now, GM3 is a really good middleweight, don't get me wrong, don't twist my words. GM3 has, I believe, T-minus second most submissions in UFC middleweight history. So this guy definitely knows how to sub people. This guy knows how to grapple, and I think this is going to be a grappling matchup. Mikhail Oleksiejczuk, he is just got back in the win column when he beat Cedric Dumas, I think it was, when he got the ground and pound. This was his first fight training as a fighting nerd as well, which is going to be a big look into how like this fight might be different. That's probably why Alexei is seen as a favorite. But I think you never doubt round three submission hunting GM3. GM3 I think could be a really surprise underdog for a specific like sub. GM3 by sub is really good odds. I think you should take it if you're gonna take any odds. Alright, next up the card, we got another middleweight bout. We got Baysangur Susurkayev versus Eric Nolan. Now, I don't know much about Eric Nolan, but I know this guy, Susurkayev, is Khamzat Chimaev's training guy, and he just won his contract at the Contender Series on Tuesday, and now he's fighting Saturday. So definitely a lot of activity there, but I don't know if it's going to be short term or what. In the presser, these two were actually at the presser, which was really confusing to me, but Eric Nolan made a comment about like how you are Susurkayev is Khamzat Chimaev's butt buddy, but he's not Khamzat Chimaev. Chimaev did like a hey, he's better than me brother kind of thing, but I think I see a very like wet blanket, like a really dominant like victory from Susurkayev is just like the favorite, I think, for a reason. Yep, he's the 1200 favorite. He's the big one because Eric Nolan is on short notice for this fight. Let's see how this goes, man. Tim Elliott versus Kai Asakura is our opener for the main card. Now, I got Asakura by decision, not because I don't believe in his power, but because of the fact that Tim Elliott is someone you really do not like put down easy. Tim Elliott's got that dog in him as well. And I think Asakura has learned definitely from his fight against Pantoja, which Kai Asakura versus one of the most dominant flyweight champions of our generation and of all time was his debut at the UFC. So I'll cut him some slack. I'll definitely not call him a fraud or washed yet. But if he loses to Tim Elliott in any fashion that isn't very unlucky or like a robbery, even if it's a robbery, Kai Sakura, you're on fraud watch. So this is Kai Sakura's chance to get out of fraud watch. I think he will get out of it because I think he's learned a lot. I can definitely see a very big dominant decision, lots of punching, lots of fighting in a sense that Tim Elliott will probably not be able to get into Asakura's shell. But then again, Tim Elliott might crafty vet him. I don't know. I'm just saying that Asakura has improved, and I think he's going to show it, and I think Asakura takes it. Next up, another middleweight fight. Lots of middleweights, eh? Our next middleweight bout is between Jared Cannonier versus Michael Page. MVP is actually a welterweight, and he's fought again at middleweight. Now, MVP I think it was in like a press or like an interview, was talking about how like the politics of welterweight is what's keeping him at middleweight. He beat Shara Magomedov by decision. He outclassed Shara Magomedov. Jared Cannonier is coming off of a win against Robocop. Me personally, I think it might be a bit too soon for him to come back because that fight was a war. He knocked out Robocop, but Robocop was about to knock him out. And seeing what Robocop did to Jack Hermanson, Jared Cannonier can take a hit. That's why I don't think there's going to be a knockout, but I think it's going to be one of those where MVP is going to do his classic where you're trying to like range him, you're trying to like fight him like this, right? You're trying to like get into him. MVP is just going to go and like jab. He's going to cross. If you're a Brazilian named Cyborg, he's also going to just knee you up the middle. Just Google MVP knee Cyborg and you will see what happened. But I think MVP is going to put a lot more pressure up on this one, just like increase his volume to get more work for the judges. Because he's a lighter guy. Cannonier dropped down from heavyweight to middleweight, so power-wise, I'm going Cannonier, but like MVP got the style. I think MVP by decision is going to be a really big like moneymaker if you put it in like a parlay. Alright, next up, we got on the welterweights, Jeff Neal versus Carlos Prates. Now, I believe this was the fight supposed to be happening before Ian Gary stepped in to fight Prates. But Ian Gary is Ian Gary, so I'm not going to knock Prates for not winning. I think this is a fight that won't go to the judges' scorecards. It's definitely going to be a knockout, but I don't know who's going to be the one knocked out. I'm thinking Jeff Neal, because Jeff Neal is a really strong guy, but Prates has that diversity in the striking where his Muay Thai background, I can see lots of knees down the middle, some like straights down the pipe, and a few of those catches Jeff Neal in a sequence, TKO, ref calls it. I don't think it's going to be early. I think it's going to be round 2 at least. Even a round 3 like knockout, but I got Carlos Prates round 2 knockout. But they could also go Jeff Neal's way, so it's definitely like a knockout is a guaranteed outcome. Don't know who for, when. Alright, to our co-main event. This is Lerone Murphy versus Aaron Pico. I got a few opinions before I start. How is Lerone Murphy the underdog in this fight? Lerone Murphy is 16-0. He is a proven featherweight. He beat Dan Ige. He beat Josh Emmett. And it's against Aaron Pico in PFL and Bellator. Now, I'm not saying Aaron Pico isn't good. The last time we had a Bellator guy fight in the UFC, not even just general, like featherweight, had Pitbull versus Yair Rodriguez, but I'm talking Patchy Mix with the amount of hype he came over with. Patchy Mix, when fighting Mario Bautista, by the way, wet blanketed, absolutely wrestled and held up Jose Aldo against the cage. Absolute villain of a guy. When he is Batista is fighting Umar Nurmagomedov in Vancouver, it's definitely Big Adolf versus Big Stalin. That's going to be the fight. It's one of the few fights where I will root for a Nurmagomedov. But if you are fighting Mario Bautista, and like you're more concerned with your facial expressions, there's something wrong with you, and I think it's just like a Bellator thing, because Patchy Mix was like he kept that facial composure for so long. I genuinely think he was like, if I make these guys look like, if I look like I'm getting hurt, I am not worthy, like some real weird like anime BS. But no, I got Lerone Murphy by decision. Lerone Murphy is a bit of a boring guy, but he's really technical. He's really he's got it with the skill. And finally, moving on to our main event, Dricus du Plessis versus Khamzat Chimaev. Now, this fight, I think there's a 70% chance this gets done before the judges' scorecards. I am personally of the opinion that it's going to be a DDP victory. Now, the reason I think this is because DDP acknowledges, he's one of the few people that actually acknowledges that, like, if you're going to fight Khamzat Chimaev, you are going to wrestle. Like, the game plan of, like, avoid the one art purist's specialty, that's no longer a thing unless it's jiu-jitsu and you're Kron Gracie, in which case you're gonna get hustled by Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell, by the way, he dropped down to bantamweight, and he Dagestani web blanketed a Dagestani inside Nurmagomedov in Abu Dhabi walking out to Cotton Eye Joe. That's a different thing, but like, people forget, man. Anyways, I think DDP understands he's going to have to wrestle, but I think Khamzat will gas after round 2 if like he doesn't get an immediate submission. I think with all of this being said, I think DDP takes Khamzat to the deep water, and I think if you exhaust Khamzat's tank, or like just anyone's tank in general, on the thing that they are really good at, I think DDP with his style of not having a style, DDP is going to push Khamzat into wrestling exchanges, and I think he's going to get a submission. I think it might be a rear naked, I'm thinking, but yeah, I genuinely have Dricus du Plessis winning. Dricus du Plessis is a dog. He's got that dog in him, and this is the fight of the middleweights. If Khamzat wins, I'm actually kind of disappointed for the division, because I think Khamzat was already talking about how he wants to move down to welterweight for the belt, and then go up to 205 to fight for the belt. Like, Khamzat wants to be like a triple champ. Khamzat also came in very underweight for this, very for like this standard, but like Khamzat is going from welterweight to middleweight still. Khamzat was a welterweight. Hamzat came in at 183. DDP made 185. I just think DDP doesn't get bullied, or DDP starts doing the bullying after round like 2. Anyways, these have been my UFC 319 picks. I've saved them to my topology, and we will see what happens. Thank you very much for your attention to this video. Have a great day. Toodle pip.